Welcome back to the lad. I'm going to be grumpy today. Going to be grumpy as. Real grumpy. It's not BMW's fault. It's the March's fault. I'm not that grumpy, but it makes for a good video, right? But I am a little bit grumpy about something under here, and I did mention it earlier on. Old mate did some work on this car. In between me doing a little bit and doing a bit more now. Puts the old box of cogs in here for us to help us out, help the owner out and all that. That's cool. Didn't bother organising a speedo sender for it. Just don't worry about that. You know, someone can just take this back off again later on so that the speedo sender can go in there. And the car can just sit around and travel around on trailers and sit in everybody's workshops with no bung in the brand new gearbox. That's brilliant, isn't it? So anyway, we got some wires, some spaghetti. They should be long enough. We're not going to run them underneath, but look, heaps that actually goes pretty much in the hole where the sensor goes. So they'll go over the top of the box where they're out of the way, probably, or maybe along here and through there. Either way, we can get the wires there. That's fine. And there's another plug there. Here's speedo sender. Here's reverse sender. And there's the reverse sender there. We'll just grab hold of this pigtail here and we'll get the plug on the end of it. Fail. Oh, we'll just give the wire a pull. Nah, fail. Old mate's put the gearbox in the bottom of the car and jammed the plug in between the gearbox and the body. Apprentice stuff, man. That's big time dumbassery. So now I've got to, either way, it doesn't matter, I guess. I've got to take this off to put the speedo sender in that he never put in. And we can fix his stuff up with the plug while we're at it. So Grumpy Glenn. If you don't like Grumpy, go away. Still Grumpy. So we got these bits here. The bitty bits, stuff, things, clip, gears, seal, gear, one gear, sensor thing. Looks dirty. I got dirty doing this. So this fits, I've checked that. Plug fits, so we're good. So we can put all this stuff in here, on there, and stick it in the car. Right, now I'm really grumpy. Really, because I have to say sorry. Because it wasn't jammed. Toyota put clips on the top of that. Up there. Up on top there. And they want the plug up there. So it wasn't jammed. It was wrong. Now I'm grumpy because I'm wrong. It was plugged in. Anyway, plug fitted. It's good. There's no clips or anything along here, so I found a hole. It must have been old something once upon a time in a Toyota, so it's got a cable tie now. Take that. Now find something else to be grumpy about. I've got to put the transmission cross member back in there. That's about all that had to happen under here. Fill this up with oil. Have a look at other things under here. Make sure it's all correct. Nuts tight on starter motor and all that. We can move on to some other things and be less grumpy. It needs a dipstick because this paper's probably not very appropriate. Remember, we shifted the dipstick. We took it out because it was in a dumb spot and we were grumpy about that too. So we can put that back in a sensible spot. There's some things with some spaghetti that needs some help getting the electrons to and from the correct places, and we can carry on. How can you be grumpy at that? Look at that pretty face. Isn't that so pretty? Hey, trouble though. So, on the subject of that thing, saw our mates at Jim Wright and Nissan, we've got all new sensors for the engine. So that rules that out. I don't think it's got anything to do with that at all, in any way, shape or form. I believe they were working perfectly fine. But we'll just replace them anyway. There was, it's really bright just there. We'll be back up. Beep, beep, beep. That's better. There was one particular thing that it was doing that kind of hints that maybe there was something not quite right with the sensors or the setup of the sensors or whatever. And that was this thing, obviously, the shit box behind us. Swore. Occasionally when you go to start it, it sounds like it's out of time. It's trying to fire out of sync with the engine. And then you just give up on it, it'll pop and bang and you go, oh, hang on, give up. You don't need to cycle the ignition. You just push the switch again and then it starts. So kind of hints there's got to be something wrong in that trigger system there, but I'm skeptical it's got anything to do with what's happening elsewhere. But we've looked at everything else. You can't, I mean, what's the thing Watson says on Sherlock Holmes or whatever. Anyway, let's carry on with something else. Still grumpy, furious, raging mad. So when old mate Glenn, long time ago, that's me ages ago in case you didn't figure it out, I made this exhaust up, and don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I was kind of relying on this clamp to hold the front of, I mean, pretty much the whole exhaust, except for what's at the back. So I mean, it's not particularly heavy. It does have two mounts at the back, on the back of the muffler, but relying on the V-band at the front there was probably a bit optimistic. I'm not sure, it was some time ago, I'm not sure if there was any intention to do any more and tag it on to something else to give it some guts or not. But certainly today, at this point in time, well, earlier on today, there was nothing. I know there's actually a catalytic converter in the car. We were going to take one of these out and put a catalytic converter in, but you don't necessarily have to do that. It's basically if there's provision to do that. And if we put a catalytic converter underneath the center hanger bearing for the drive shaft, it'll cook it and it won't last. So there's not really provision for that unless we put some heat shields. I mean, there are mounts here that are probably for heat shields. Could. Anyway, long story short, Grumpy Glenn said, bloody hell, useless old Glenn. Put a bracket on here. It's still hot. Yeah, it's still hot. To give it some guts. So you attach your exhaust to your gearbox, not to the gearbox cross member, the gearbox, because that's attached to the motor. That's all fixed, right? So this needs to move in the same way as what this does, which it does. So I can't actually show you because I'm holding the camera, and when I wriggle everything, the whole camera moves. But there you go. So that's taken care of. It really should probably have another one about here somewhere in this general vicinity. We'll figure that out. Mr. Owner is apparently coming tomorrow. We need a seat. We can't tune it without a seat because you can't run it on Dyno. Can't run it on Dyno this year anyway because everybody's all booked up and busy. But we'll carry on. Start of the year, we'll be able to get into it. It should be back together enough. It'll be running, hopefully. Unless it's been living too close to this for too long. I should write dumb car. No, it's not. It's fine. We'll figure it out. I actually starting to think it's the dyno, not the car. Just the way the dyno interacts with that particular car, the way that car delivers its power to all four wheels, and the way the dyno is reacting to it, the two of them having a tantrum. And put it on a rolling road and it probably will be fine. We'll see. Right, so there's a whole heap. I pointed these out before. There's a whole heap of little things I need to go through and check because someone else has been working on it. At least one person, I don't know how many. So I need to make sure everything's going to be good. I don't want to start it up and have oil gush out all across my absolutely beautiful, immaculately clean floor with no stains or antifreeze and dripping wet towels and piles of rubbish hidden. Where's the pile of rubbish? There it is. I need to. It's Friday, Arvo. Let's have a clean. Who's been doing skids? Uh-oh. Spaghetti on the ground again. It's supposed to be cleaning, Glenn. Oh, God. He's in here chopping it all up again. Ay, ay, ay. That's all good. I'm actually just chasing the tiniest, fiddliest, itsy-bitsy little details just on the off chance that something really, really silly was causing our problem. But today I've actually had two people contact me about what we were experiencing on the dyno. It's not unique. We're not the first ones to have seen it. There may be a good thing. There may be a good plan going forward. I need to talk to Mr. Dyno tuning person and check that he's happy to try something that I've just discussed with somebody else that is potentially a fix for the problem. So, that's good. That's very good. Who would do this? This is silly. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll crack on with this tomorrow. It's like 5 minutes away from being it's like 25, it's an hour away from being a running car again, being realistic. What I've done here is I'm actually shifting the main power cables for the ECU and all the things that it runs in behind the light there. They used to run along top of the bell housing and down the side of the motor and onto the starter motor, because the main battery cable runs from the front there along here, and then there's jumper cables across to the alternator. So I'm just doing away with all of that. It's actually pretty much a shorter path anyway to go from here straight through to the battery, believe it or not. It may not look like it from here, but there's quite a distance to go over the top of the bell housing and around everything that needs to go. So, alright, enough talk. Have a good weekend. Cheers. Bye.